Let's take a look at another argument of roaming millennials now, the Asian American argument.
And that's where we end the video, folks. Now, to be fair, it was pretty Weasley. It was a Weasley puss fucking move to not address Shaun's final point to roaming millennial. It was Weasley. It was shit of me, right? And after thinking of it, I wanted to do this yesterday, but they're talking about impeaching the president, and I'm like seeing some fucking shit here that's going on that may all link together, and I want to be able to go ha whenever it happens, and I didn't know if that might be today. So I put this video off, but I wanted to do this yesterday, day right after the fucking first video, because I felt dishonest. It's dishonest to just kind of be like, I agree with Shaun, but fuck Shaun, I'm not going to give him the fucking satisfaction. That was wrong of me. I was hasty. I was upset. I was full of emotion. My feelings were hurt. I was SJW. I admit it. Where's my glasses? Where's the fucking, there it is. The liberal glasses are on. Oh my God, Shaun's right. But you know what? Shaun's right. He has an extremely good point. And I think it can be used, applied, to other facets of life. And I just want to bring this to your consideration. I'm so excited to do this video.
And something that I'd like to mention, which really debunks the idea that non-white people in the US are oppressed, is the fact that there are non-white groups out there who on average do better than their white counterparts in terms of education and finances. And yes, felony charges too.
Now see, fucking, it's stupid, it's... God damn. So, it's a stupid fucking point to even bring up. It's dumb. Why are you comparing apples to oranges? Two completely different situations, two completely different cultures, two completely different types of people. Dude. And yes, you have crossovers everywhere. That's a fuck up. So, fuck me, what's my... Yeah, so it's stupid to even bring it up. It's an asinine fucking point to make. Roaming, asinine fucking point to make. And you were so dumb as to put it in a fucking video. And Shaun gets you. He's got you so fucking bad.
So then, people of colour can't be oppressed because Asian Americans, on average, are better educated and have a higher average income than white Americans.
See, and you can tell it's fucking stupid because he doesn't have to insert any of his own horseshit into that. When he just says it back, he just says back what she says. And it sounds fucking dumb on the face of it. Right?
Now, does this therefore prove that oppression is now a thing of the past and has no bearing at all on modern society? Well, I would argue quite the opposite. In fact, a larger percentage of Asian Americans being educated and having a higher average income stems directly from discrimination against Asian people. And
now, he is about to make the most inspired comment I've ever heard a person make. I don't think I can call Shaun stupid anymore. It upsets me that I can't call him stupid anymore. I still got Riley. But it's upsetting. Because I don't like Shaun, because he's so fucking stupid. But I kind of like Shaun a little bit now. I'm going to twist his words terribly, but so wonderfully inspired.
Stick with me now. It's kind of a counterintuitive one, this, I understand. You know, how can discrimination against a group lead to them being, on average, better off down the line?
It's so beautiful. Discrimination. How can... Shaun's going to tell us how discrimination against a group can lead to them being better off down the line. It's going to be fucking beautiful.
Stick with me now. It's kind of a counterintuitive one, this, I understand. How can discrimination against a group lead to them being, on average, better off down the line?
It's... I know, right?
And another question here before I answer that one. In the graph of average household incomes that Roaming Millennial showed, why doesn't the Asian data go back as far as the others?
That's an amazing fucking question, Shaun. That's an amazing fucking question.
And these answers are linked, as you'll see. So I'm going to throw a few data points your way now, and we'll see if we can later draw some conclusions from them. So first of all, in 1960, the Asian population of the United States was less than 1 million. They comprised around half of 1% of the population. And this is compared to there being over 18 million black people in 1960, to give you a sense of the scale there. Today, there are around 20 million Asian Americans, so why were there so few, relatively, in 1960, and why are there comparatively so many more today? Point number 2. In 1882, the United States Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, prohibiting Chinese immigration into the United States and making the Chinese migrants present in the United States at the time permanent aliens by excluding them from the possibility of US citizenship.
That sounds very familiar. That's what CNN says the immigration ban is. Huh.
Point number 3. The Immigration Act of 1917, also known as the Asiatic Barred Zone Act, barred immigration from large parts of Asia completely.
Interesting. That also sounds very familiar.
Point number 4. The Immigration Act of 1924, including the Asian Exclusion Act, but not to be confused with the Chinese Exclusion Act, imposed strict quotas on how many people of a particular nationality could be resident in the United States at the time, and barred completely everyone who was ineligible to become a United States citizen.
That's also very familiar sounding.
Fifth and finally here, the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which removed the racial and national barriers that were previously in place, which restricted immigration from Asia.
Huh. This is all very good stuff, Shaun. Very good stuff.
So then, why in 1960 were there a relatively small number of Asian people in the United States? And that's because immigration from Asia was massively restricted by a series of discriminatory laws.
Huh. Interesting.
And then after those restrictions were lifted, immigration from Asia skyrocketed, relatively anyway. Now, the vast majority of Asian American population growth in recent decades has been due to immigration. So then, we need to ask, who can move to a different country? And primarily of importance to us here is people who can afford to move to a different country.
So, like, people who achieve, people who have something to offer.
And this is particularly true of a country very far away with which you do not share a land border.
So this could be applied to any country that doesn't share a land border with the United States. Alright.
The average Chinese labourer cannot say, oh, I'm not feeling this really, I think I'll just move to America and buy a house and go to college. You see my point here. The United States is not seeing an accurate representative economic cross-section of people from those Asian countries that immigrants are arriving from. The immigrants are those that can afford to move and afford to pay for college, and this is reflected in the average income statistics.
So, like, people that could afford to become actual, legitimate, legal citizens of this country.
The disparity in average incomes present in the United States today is rooted in the history of these discriminatory laws. For a comparative example, imagine transplanting all the African Americans in the United States outside it.
For a comparative example, and I understand that this doesn't follow the thread of overseas countries, but we'll say illegal immigrants. If we transplanted, say, all the illegal immigrants, then...
And then only allowing back in those that had the resources to make the move.
Or to become natural, or you become actual legal citizens.
And if you did that, the average household income for African Americans in the United States would increase dramatically. Not because they're actually any richer, remember, but simply because you'd be excluding all the poor people.
Or illegal people.
I mean, poverty obviously still exists in Asia, doesn't it?
Exists in Mexico too.
Anyway, let's wrap up here. I feel like I've pitched enough answers to Roaming Millennial there for her to think about for one day.
And honestly, Shaun, I think I've thrown in many things, a whole lot of things at you that would literally make your head fucking explode. Here's another one.
Stick with me now. It's kind of a counterintuitive one, this, I understand. You know, how can discrimination against a group lead to them being, on average, better off down the line?
Yeah. We should really deport the illegals.
Now, this is a video I would actually like to see a response to. I want to know what Roaming Millennial or her fans think about what I've said and how they would answer me.
Echo that, my man. I would really like to hear a response to not only this video, but hey, fuck it, the last video. So, if you have the wherewithal, and if you give enough of a shit, please try and make sure that Shaun gets this across his desk. Please, obviously, no fucking ridiculousness. I'm asking you to represent me in saying, Shaun, you should check this video out. This guy makes some pretty good arguments against your claims. Please represent me in a way that I would like to be represented. Don't be a fucking asshole. How many times do I have to say it on this channel? Being an asshole's fucked up. It just gets trouble for everybody else. Be good. You know, try. But if you could do it, that'd be fucking fantastic. I would really like to know what Shaun thinks.
You know, I anticipate getting a fair amount of insults here.
Yeah, I anticipate that if Shaun does actually answer me, he will insult me thoroughly, because that's pretty much all he'll actually have.
Obviously. But I want to see arguments. You know, if you think I'm wrong, try and prove me wrong.
I don't so much think you're wrong, as I think your logic is extraordinarily flawed.
If you think the studies I referenced came to incorrect conclusions, prove it.
In that last video, I don't think that the studies that you showed came to incorrect conclusions. I just think that the studies themselves were fucking horseshit. It's a very complex issue as to why people are incarcerated and the ratios therein. You can't just boil it down to skin color and go, look, that proves something. It fucking doesn't prove anything. It proves that you boiled a very complex issue down to one fucking factor, and you think that that proves something. That's all that proves.
You know, the ball's in your court. I'm eager for responses here, since I feel like the right are just chasing their tails on this issue.
And you see, he said he's eager for responses. So I don't think that there will be any problems with you guys sending this Shaun's way. As long as you're not dicks.
And I want to try and move the conversation on. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone.
Yeah, Shaun, thank you so much for this fucking clip.
Stick with me now. It's kind of a counterintuitive one, this, I understand. You know, how can discrimination against a group lead to them being, on average, better off down the line?
The second I hit fucking record. See, and I hear this every day, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing up there? Like, is this kid fucking being beat. And then after so many days in a row, I'm like, I hope they're beating that kid. It's horrible to say. Obviously, that's a joke. I don't really want them to beat the kid. But Jesus Christ, the kid's fucking wild. And like, I go in to get in bed like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my God. Thinking to myself, am I ever going to fucking fall asleep? This kid gonna run around all day. I'm a fucking star, man. I had 2,700 subscribers at one point. I have a lot less now. God damn it. Whatever. That's some shit that I think at work. I sit there and I'm like, over 2,000 people. 100 people at least hang on my every word. Good 200-300 people, really on average, hang on my every word. And here I am fucking slogging it here in this fucking hot factory. Makes me laugh. Whatever. Anyways. So...
Stick with me now. It's kind of a counterintuitive one, this, I understand. You know, how can discrimination against a group lead to them being, on average, better off down the line? And another question here before I answer that one. In the graph of average